I'm a sucker for celebratory dates, dear stranger online. Yes, the calendar was made up by some Roman dude 1,000 years ago, and time is but an illusion that our brains use to trick us into understanding the universe, blah blah blah. I like New Year's. I'm a Christmas girlie. I absolutely love ending cycles and taking a breath, to take a break, to look back at how far we've come. Chill for a bit, eat too much, get drunk on mulled wine, and look at pretty lights. Mostly in years such as this in which, trust me, there is a lot that I still need to process. It was a really difficult year for me personally. I moved cities, stuff has ensued in my personal life, I got really stressed and really anxious, and I reevaluated a lot of priorities. It would have been a super shitty year, mind you, if not for you, dear stranger online. I'm not exaggerating when I say that starting this little channel was by far the best thing that happened to me in 2024. When the year began, I never even imagined I would have the nerve to start publishing little silly thoughts on YouTube. An idea that I did flirt with for more than a decade now, but I was never brave enough to actually try. This channel is 17 years old, mind you. The first video I uploaded was in 2009 and it's super unlisted. But I really didn't expect that we would be here in December celebrating 20,000 subscribers. But here we are. It happened. I started doing some videos about Pokémon that got 200, 300 views. I decided to write about gender and what? 5,000 views, that's so cool. And then I wrote about gender and Pokémon. Boom. Over 150,000 views, and there was my niche for you. People still comment when they find the Among Us video like, what? You had 500 subscribers when you wrote this? How did you grow so fast? And I'm always super happy when I read that because yes, this happened really fast and I'm still processing what it means for my future. Without any kind of experience, I did write a few, your words, not mine, banger video essays that I'm really proud of. And the only way that I managed to write essays that engage so many people without any prior experience is due to one single fact. I watch a lot of video essays. I only managed to get relatively good at YouTube as fast as I did because, just like you I imagine, I watch a lot of YouTube. My YouTube hours probably outweighed all the other streaming services I own by 5 or 6 times even. YouTube is a daily ritual, but Star Plus? Only when there's a new episode of Only Murders in the Building. And hey, sometimes I do some videos that I know are not going to be the biggest Mr. Beast hits of all time. I don't expect this video to be doing the numbers with the algorithm, dear stranger online, but I wanted to write it anyway as a thank you gift for me. For liking and subscribing and sailing with me through the deep and treacherous waters of the YouTube algorithm. This one is just for us, you and me, chilling and talking about fun YouTube stuff. And I want to talk about a few video essays in no particular order that really impacted me and influenced me this year. That also talk about what I want my videos to do and where I think this platform is headed. 2024 was a year of incredible videos, and I will try to leave the biggest ones out of this list because odds are you've already seen it. Videos like the incredible deep dive into femsexuality in ContraPoint's Twilight, Lindsay Ellis's beautiful Yoko and the Beatles, and H. Bomber Guy's Plagiarism and You, who has single-handedly caused every single person on this platform to triple-check their list of sources. They all have millions of views, and I would be really surprised if it didn't get recommended to you yet. Today, I want to focus on a few other videos I watched this year, video that I think that, if you like a good old Cecilia video, you will probably enjoy. Essays about the things I like the most. Pokémon, politics, outer space, and gender. Some from bigger creators, some from smaller ones. That I think you should give a go.
These 3 will appear in every episode of the first season of this show as our primary antagonists, the main bad guys, our recurring villains. And you might already know this, but things are about to get a little fruity.
I need to start with what is probably the most Cecilia coded of them all. It could literally be a video on this channel if I didn't think that this subject wasn't already discussed masterfully by Lizard Lee. So, Prepare for trouble and make it double, because their Team Rocket, the queer audacity of villains, offers such an intricate and empathetic look at the entire Rocket trio in the anime, and it moved me to my core. Lizard Lee is a really talented queer cosplayer, and while they argue that this video isn't a video essay per se, I think labels are silly, and it is, regardless, a really sincere media analysis of what is probably the most positive example of queer-coded villains in fiction, really. An example of how you can actually make it work. And they go dissecting each of the members of the Rocket trio and the poses they make while they craft this beautifully spooky ghost trainer hunter cosplay staff. This video is the definition of a chill watch for both your queer nerd needs and your DIY crafty needs. This is a video that goes back to quintessential anime episodes to talk about James' well-documented fluid gender expression and Jessie's complex relationship with her femininity. Going back all the way to talking about Japan's historical expression of gender in theater. But the crowning jewel for me is the end of the video, which I will try not to spoil much so that you can go and watch it, but it's this incredible look at Meow through a non-binary lens, mostly focusing on the Meowsy episode and looking at the agony this character has to deal with when inhabiting a transitory space. Outside of binarity, neither fully Pokémon nor fully human. It's really incredible work, and the stuff looks amazing at the end, and it's the one video on this list that I can safely 100% recommend if you like anything I do here.
Does time ever feel like it's not moving normally? Like it's all out of whack? Do you ever feel like you're narrating your own life, watching it play in front of you?
This year I had my best friend visiting me for a few weeks. It's always super fun, but as usual, we never have any clue on what the hell should we watch. After exhausting every single streaming service's catalog, I tell her that I have been thinking for a bit about the 1999 film Hackers, that I watched when I was a teenager. I think the thing that stuck the most on me was the flirty scene between these two hackers, a guy and a tomboyish Angelina Jolie, and whoever lost the bet would have to wear a dress to their first date. No idea why that stuck with me for more than a decade though. Funny. Anyway, I told her I remembered it being kind of cheesy visually, but in a good way somehow. I said Hackers is everything the Matrix wished that it was. And she said, let's go watch it. And she loved it in a way that she usually only reserved for slashers. I was surprised, but this one does feel like a special one. It's a fascinating movie that aged in a really peculiar way. It offers a unique view of how counterculture in the 90s viewed the internet as a way to make a stand against the final neoliberalism boss that made Fukuyama name that decade the end of history. When I see films like these, they make me think a lot of things, but I still need some processing to do, so I like to dive deep, watch videos from other people, or read a dozen of Letterboxd reviews to help, come up with an idea about it. But for Hackers, I didn't do it. I just left it brewing in the back of my head until a few weeks later, when I saw the TV glow. Yes, I'm trans, how did you know that? And that was definitely a film that I felt, okay, now I need to watch 48 video essays made specifically by trans people to try and go through this feeling that I'm feeling right now. And Jessie Gender was right there, with an incredible essay that is literally a future-length film waiting for me. About TV Glow, and about hackers and the Matrix, and some very other interesting queer-coded, cyberpunk, sci-fi, really gender-fucky films I never heard of before.
Yet within this outdated imagery lies a vision of the future, crafted through the language of its time, limited and bounded by it, yet still able to push beyond it. It's a future where our imagination becomes a tangible realm of collective dreaming.
It's a video about what we dreamed the internet would be, a tool for self-expression, for letting go of binaries, for queer liberation, and for hacking the planet. And how it was taken over by monopolies. A little bit in line with another video I published this year about content marketing and the dead internet, but diving much deeper into the psychoanalytical aspect of it all, in an extremely sharp visual style that very few people can deliver. Jessie's visual style is so creative, so cyberpunk, and the message is filled with longing for a future that we hope we would have, but it was taken from our hands. The way she weaves together and interconnects all these films and ideas in a flawless presentation and super engaging narrative is peak video essay for me. Masterly written and perfectly edited, and the most shocking thing of all, it has a criminally low view count for Jesse's channel size and for how good this video is, and it's definitely worth checking out, mostly if you're interested in online culture, any of the films I mentioned, or if you think The Matrix is neat.
Imagine how embarrassing it'd be if we finally managed to tune into whatever galactic radio station, only to find out that all the other aliens think about civilizations with military-industrial complexes the way we think about melodramatic teenagers who just learned what angst is.
I'm a nerd. I fall asleep to kurzgesagt animations talking about black holes, and my TikTok algorithm is basically just Hank Green giving me the most charismatic science class I've ever had.
Like my whole life, I've been told, don't put metal in the microwave. How the fuck does this work?
First of all, don't put metal in the microwave. Second, this is metal, all of the inside of your microwave is metal.
I'm obsessed with Doctor Who, and I could spend hours watching videos not just about theoretical physics, but watch philosophical outcomes that these mind-bending concepts could mean for us. But sciencey videos can often be very clinical, I think. Looking at everything from a supposedly impartial viewpoint, science is objective and there are no biases that drive the formulation of hypotheses at all. And that's why it was a blessing when I came across the channel of Dr. Fatma earlier this year, who is doing incredible work in this platform, and to be honest, I haven't seen anything similar to it. According to Fatma herself, she is a former astrophysicist turned aspiring YouTuber, talking about the intersections of science and society. Carl Sagan, but make it SJW. Talking about imperialism and colonialism and bringing a global south empathetic vision to science, knowledge, and outer space. And I love this stuff. The video that really got me hooked is called What Astrophysicists Think About Aliens, and I swear to God, this isn't anywhere near any other extraterrestrial life piece you have ever seen on the Discovery Channel.
So we're half human and half extraterrestrial. We're hybrids.
In it, Fatma goes through the Fermi paradox hypothesis, a paradox that tries to explain why, if there is such an absurdly high likelihood that there is life out there, why can't we find proof? And I have heard about the paradox before, namely in a Kurzgesagt video, a German science animation channel, and in that video they formulate a few hypotheses to explain that, and most of them are really bleak and scary and talk about how it might be dangerous to search for extraterrestrial life. But in this video, Dr. Fatma exposes how most of the proposed solutions to this paradox, from the apex predator theory to the dark forest theory, actually show an extremely colonial way to approach the situation. To assume that aliens would want to exponentially expand and dry planets out of their resources and conquer native people, just because that's what European people did when they expanded to sea. Exposing the twisted mindset to assume that because some human societies have been imperialist in the past, that automatically would make extraterrestrial societies the same. It is really complex and thought-provoking and way out of my league to try and explain it here, so please, if that is a subject that interests you in the slightest, go watch it. You won't regret it.
Hamilton. Good art, bad politics. Hamilton. Catchy songs, but so liberal. Hamilton. Great theater, but American imperialism.
Alexander Avila might be my favorite video essayist on YouTube today. Period. He's extremely funny and smart and well-read and researches so well, and not only that, the visual style and sound design and presentation he brings to his videos are really an aspiration to me, and I would love to be able to present something with this degree of sophistication one day. He's constantly tackling topics that are deeply fascinating and extremely relevant for today's society, from Hannah Montana to The Sims. Alexander is actually really good at taking study objects which are seemingly simple and using them as a starting point for a deeper conversation. Honestly, I think this is one of my favorite YouTube formats. People might dislike it and call it clickbait, but I call it using clickbait for the greater good. and I love it. You know, something else some people tend to dislike, but I love? Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yes, okay, I'm sorry. I know it's cool to hate on him for some reason, and yes, maybe he was kind of everywhere a few years ago, but I cannot deny how obsessed I was with Hamilton in 2016. Guns and Ships is my go-to karaoke song when I want to surprise an audience with my rapping abilities. And I will more often than not get drunk at a house party and show all my friends the video of his Fiddler on the Roof wedding surprise. Yes, I'm a theater kid, how did you know that? But something that never really spoke to me in Hamilton was the idea of the American dream. I mean, it's an easy concept when you're born into it, but if you're from a country with a history of having the United States deposing, spying, and assassinating the people you vote for, it can sound very paternalizing. But still, I connected to Hamilton so much as music and as art and as a representation of universal struggle. The story of a bastard, orphan, Latino immigrant who shapes the world around him through the power of writing, and how this way of telling a story is essential in our current political landscape. And these are some of the ideas that go around Hamilton and the death of the Obama era, and they are more relevant than ever after Trump's victory in 2024, where the Democrat Party has failed and how Hamilton was this final breath of international politics before this weird extreme polarization and ascension of the far right everywhere. Hamilton is kind of like a goodbye to a world without Bolsonaros and Le Pens and Orbans and AFDs and Millets and Trumps. A world where you did have the privilege sometimes to think that maybe, with diversity and hope and a little bit of hip-hop, there was a way to reform the system.
On this wall in this hall, and I'm getting a piece of it like Miley Schumer, Tracy Morgan, and this piece. Never gonna be president now, never gonna be president now, never gonna be president now, never gonna be.
Well, that's now in the past, and we need to go outside and get involved politically if we want to tell the story of tonight.
Why do you think Hamilton was so effective? Republicans complained about a black Little Mermaid, so how did they let globalists get away with Black Thomas Jefferson? Because Miranda identified America with the symptom, the immigrant, the Americans of color, the poor. He turned these forgotten American excesses into American essences. Hamilton, this synthesis of the American struggle for universal equality, is also an immigrant, an orphan, and yet he is still, at his essence, the people.
Also, the color palette of this video and the sets and costumes are so good. I love Alexander's work so much. Avila, not Hamilton.
During this time, my emotions were becoming far more intense. I would cry at stupid and random stuff, but crying does not feel bad. It feels good and releases emotions. I would care about stuff that didn't even matter. It was almost like hormones were dumbing me down enough to where I could enjoy life. I was starting to get a feeling almost like being continually a little bit high. It was euphoric, to say the least. My first experience with a guy was a non-chat friend who knew I had started transitioning and thinks I'm actually trans. We didn't have sex or even oral, but we kissed a few times and cuddled for a few hours. It was magical. The cuddles were even better than endless orgasms. Oh my god, maybe you're just trans, you dumb bitch.
Dear stranger online, for the final video in this list, I will cheat a little bit. This video is actually really popular and has almost 2 million views, but again, the YouTuber who made it, Seikocat, is the one with the least amount of subscribers in this list. Kind of funny if you ask me, but I think this only speaks about how deeply moving this piece is. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with body-changing media. Yes, I'm trans, how did you know that? It didn't matter how bad the story was, from It's a Boy-Girl thing to that Fairly Odd Parents episode. I would always watch it again and again and again, and I could never understand exactly why. And because of that, I know that if the Inside Mari manga had come out when I was 14, I would have been obsessed with it too. Inside Mari is a trans mask story cosplaying as a trans femme story, and in the end, it isn't really specifically trans at all. It's a really fascinating subversion of the body swapping trope, and at the beginning of the year, a video about it appeared in my recommendations. And I fell into a bit of a rabbit hole, as you do on YouTube, until Seiko Cats, the Incel to Trans Pipeline, and Inside Mari appeared on the Up Next. The infamous Incel to Trans Pipeline is a subject that bothers me a bit, mostly because it is used to fool a lot of turf discourse against trans people, and I try to avoid it if I can. The first essay I ever made on this channel, Online Trans Communities and the Cult of Possibility, I do talk a little bit about it, about communities like 4chan or the LGBT board on 4chan, or more specifically, what happens when introverted young people who spend a lot of their online time in spaces that are sprawling with queerphobic, misogynist discourse, find out that they are a little bit queer themselves. It's a story that I can't relate to. Most of my offline social groups have been majorly queer ever since I was 15, and I only got exposed to these online communities through, literally, a ContraPoints video. But what if it didn't happen like that? If it took me so much time to come into terms with my identity, what would have happened if I didn't have this support network? That's a little bit of the story that is told flawlessly in this deeply personal, heartfelt story that talks about a body swap manga, talks about the similarities some online trans communities have to incel discourse, but it's mostly about imposter syndrome, I guess. About not fitting in the traditional transgender narrative, about which are really valid reasons for transitioning. Asking what it really means to be trans and going over really sensitive topics such as autogynephilia and the incel to trans pipeline in the most touching and brutally honest way possible. And I think it's the best piece I've ever seen to do so. I teased my Discord community about the videos I would be talking about in this one, and this video was, by far, the one that got people the most excited. If you are questioning your gender, or you're in doubt if you are worthy of being trans, just like Debbie from my video, I cannot recommend this one enough. All of the videos I mentioned here are, as always, linked here below. Happy 2025, dear stranger online. The next year has a lot of experimentation in store for us. I might have found a small niche in a community that I really value, but I want to try and expand to see how far I can go. I want to make some videos that are not about Pokémon at all, and I also want to make some videos that are the most run-of-the-mill PokéTuber thing I can think of. In 2025, I will be going out there, I will be meeting new people face to face, and if I manage to regularize my financial situation and finally receive some of the money that has been building up on my AdSense account for the past 8 months, I might even be able to buy some new equipment and a proper camera that doesn't have this 2 dead pixels here and doesn't lose focus half of the time. I'm incredibly excited about where this channel is going, and I have no idea where that is. All that I know is that I'm really grateful for having you alongside me, and I want to thank from the bottom of my heart for these 20,000 subscribers. I hope we will be able to do a lot of cool things together in 2025 and in the years that are coming next. Enjoy your end of year, and please, this is not engagement bait, I genuinely want to hear from you. Which fun things do you think we could do with this platform in the next year? Leave a comment below, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you on this channel soon. I already have 2 scripts for January, and I have to be honest, are we even strangers anymore? Well, I'm not a YouTuber. I have been flirting with the idea of doing something online for the past 15 years, I guess. And I've had this channel since 2007 with weird random childhood videos that are completely blocked and unlisted. So I don't know what comes next, honestly. So if you think this is a conversation you would also like to have, I guess, like and subscribe. I would actually really love if you would drop a comment because, you know, I have 40 subscribers, so I really will read and reply.